Pokemon Fanfiction Readings presents Dragon Riders, Kaze no Kaeru, by Night Dragon Zero. A raindrop hit my forehead, arousing me from my sleep. Blinking, I sat up, brushing the falling leaves and water out of my face. I dropped down to a lower tree branch to get a little more shelter from the storm. Alone in the rain. However, most of my life has been rather gloomy lately. My name is Night Slice. Odd name, you'll be thinking. Odd name for a human, that is, but I'm not. I slashed my pair of sword-like claws about, flexing my muscles. I stretched my wings, cramped after I'd been lying on them the whole night. That's right, I'm a scyther. A friend once said I looked like a praying mantis crossed with a velociraptor, which I suppose describes me fairly well. When I still had friends with me, that is. How long ago was that? Just 2 months? Feels like years longer. And that was when I could be around others. It should be fairly obvious, then, that I'm no ordinary scyther. That's true to a frightening extent. I can speak the language of the humans, which isn't bad at times, but there's still something else. A dark power dwells within my being. A dark power even I can't fully control. Someday, it just may take over. That's why I had to leave the others. Chris, Firestorm, Jade, and all the rest. I'm afraid of myself, afraid of what I can and may do. What I'm about to tell you may not matter, but please stay a while and hear me out. This is my story. I was a product of genetic experiments, born in a lab, created with the vicious power of my breed and human-level intelligence. The scientists then thought they could control life itself. They thought they could play God. They went a step too far. I joined forces with Firestorm, then a Charmeleon who'd been captured by the humans, and together we escaped confinement. Turned out the lab was funded by Giovanni, leader of Team Rocket. Soon we had the criminal organization hot on our heels. Firestorm, as far as I could tell, was recaptured. I escaped, only to face a greater torment. In a battle high atop the snowy mountains, I fell into an icy cavern and would remain buried there for the next 5 years, literally frozen in time. That was when Chris came in, an orphan who'd been adopted by the late ninja master, Wang Long. She'd been trained as a ninja and faked her age to get into Team Rocket, where she met Firestorm. Her noble soul and Firestorm's ferocious courage soon forged a bond, which led them to flee Team Rocket together. Coincidentally, the place they took to hiding was the snowy mountains. On one of their expeditions, they liberated me from that icy grave. Miraculously, I survived and eventually fully recovered. Even though I suffered from amnesia, those times we spent together were the happy days of my life. Ultimately, we did return to the civilized world and our journey began. Personally, it was a journey of startling revelations and self-discovery. It was soon revealed that Firestorm was descended from Harasalt, a legendary holy dragon who fought Kaze, his dark counterpart. And Kaze was my ancestor. Prophecies foretold that the dark dragon would rise again, and we hoped to prevent it. One Pokemon of light, one of darkness, with equilibrium of yin and yang balanced. Joined by a brash young man called Jade, we sought out hidden sacred and forbidden skills, fought in both trainer and gym battles to maintain our cover against Team Rocket and Kaze's forces, led by my biological father, Alucard. I was tempted several times to join Alucard in his quest for the destruction of humanity, and each time I refused. Then came the revelation that I possessed part of Kaze's spirit. I was the one foretold who would resurrect the Dark God. While it granted me the ability to transform into a powerful warrior known as Nightblazer, and rendered me virtually immortal, though not impervious to damage, it was one of the most difficult things to accept. I felt that I was the master of my fate, that no prophecy could control my destiny, that I could still fight alongside my friends for what I believed in. Then I lost control of the Nightblazer and attacked Chris. Though I managed to stop myself from killing her, I realized that I was a threat to everyone I cared about. Chris and I had grown pretty close during our adventures, and I still dreaded the thought of what could have happened. Even Alucard seems to have been trying to convince me of that fact. I wonder if he was right after all. I had to leave. I had to run to get away. If I could hide away for eternity by myself, I could shatter the prophecy for good. Then I wouldn't be able to cause harm to anyone else. But the dreams, they would never leave me. Fires, battle, what I could do, what I wanted, what I would do. No! I roared, snapping my jaws and slashing my blades at empty air. It took several minutes of deep breathing to calm down. Just that dream. I'd fallen asleep again. That dream was the one where my past would play out in front of me like a movie. Then it would turn into a nightmare. I shook my head and jumped down to the forest floor. Time to get back to reality. Life in the wild was harsh and dangerous, especially for me, a domesticated Pokemon who'd never lived without humans. In the past 2 months, I've had to learn to survive on my own, by myself, and had practically starved myself trying to learn how to hunt. Except you can't die, the voice in my head reminds me. The choice to take my own life would have been something I would have actually considered, provided it was applicable to me. I had to keep moving, too. The Fuchsia region was populated by all sorts of nasty Pokemon, and not many friendly ones. Then there were the humans, always on the lookout for a new Pokemon to capture. I had to be particularly cautious around them. I prayed that I wouldn't accidentally run into Chris and the others. I couldn't face them again, not just yet at least. Still, the hunting was good here, and I decided to stay a while before moving on to find a more permanent home. I never really figured out whether Scyther were carnivorous or not, but if my digestive system could handle human food, I figured I'd be able to consume whatever was edible. I trudged down to the lake and managed to snap a couple of medium-sized fish out of the water, which I quickly gulped down. I then lowered my snout and took a nice long drink. As I did so, my gaze fell upon my reflection on the water's surface. It had been a while since I actually took time to look, and I was shocked to find that I barely recognized myself anymore. Unkempt hair, worn skin, roughened scales. I really looked like a wild Pokemon now. However, the scar that ran all the way from my left forehead, between my eyes, and down the right side of my jaws was still clearly visible. A little memento Alagard had given me. Then I heard this scream. To be more precise, the distress call. It was female, and she was in trouble. Now, wild Pokemon don't generally have too great a sense of honor. That was a human thing, after all. But something simply made me spread my wings and head straight towards the source of the noise. The next few seconds was a mad dash, cutting tree limbs out of my way and evading those I couldn't chop in time. I finally found the female. It was a relatively young Scyther, surrounded by 5 Pinsir. Damn. Sometimes I just hate my nature. The first one never saw me coming. I drove my scythe through the softer, lightly armored sections of his back, ripping his innards out. Posing over the fallen one's carcass, I roared out a battle cry. The other 4 came toward me all at once. I leapt over the first, used the second as a springboard, and rammed into the third. The force of the blow catapulted the unfortunate bug straight into the horns of his comrade, fatally impaling him. Immediately, I turned around and blocked the deadly horns of the one behind. It was still a 2-on-1, and I found myself in a frantic adrenaline rush. I was still busy hacking at the first 2 when the third surviving one came up from behind me. Desperately, I rolled away to avoid the impending blow and was unable to recover in time. All at once, they launched an excellently coordinated attack. One took my feet out from under me, and the second immediately tackled me in midair, sending me sprawling over. I'd barely had time to taste the dirt in my mouth when the last one leapt onto my back, pinning my chest and arms against the ground and rendering my blades useless. I screamed in agony as he grasped for my neck with his claws. Then I felt it. No! I saw the purple energy glowing around my body. Charged by an unholy energy, I heaved up and threw the pincers off my back. I let loose a nightmarish roar. Next thing I knew, I was looking through a red visor. No! I didn't want to do this! I looked down at the black-clad armor that covered most of my body. Only a single silver section ran along my chest. My body still retained its normal shape and posture, with 2 exceptions. The pair of twin machine guns mounted on my waist and my claws, which had been modified so that a 5-fingered hand was hidden beneath each of them. It was a sight I dreaded. It was the Night Blazer, Kaiser's spirit, and it had taken control of me. My claws were covered in body fluids of the bugs, and I realized I'd cleanly carved another pincer in 2. The 2 survivors were hesitating, panicked and stricken with fear. Big mistake. I attacked and made a nice hole in the body of the closest one. The final one had already turned to run, but I wouldn't let him escape. It was a quick chase, and I caught him by the horns and swung him headfirst into a pile of sharp rocks, penetrating his exoskeleton and splitting his skull. I stood there panting as I reverted back to normal. The mere sight of what I'd just done made me absolutely sick to my stomach, and even the armor hadn't spared me the painful act of having my opponent's body fluid splattered all over me. Yet this wasn't the end of my problems. There was a faint rustling of leaves, and one scyther after another appeared. The female swarm, apparently. They were led by a battle-scarred scissor, who stood and watched me with a distinct sense of curiosity. Obviously, they'd never seen anything like my powers, and were unsure of what to do. I didn't know much about my own species in the wild, but I did know that they didn't fancy intruders, other scyther included. And picking a fight with a wild scyther swarm is not something you'd want to do to keep yourself healthy. I growled and roared out some unintelligible statements. Several of them backed off, but most held their ground. I stared the scissor straight in the eye as I continued snarling and backed away. Far away enough for me to get a head start whilst fleeing. Words can't explain how thankful I was that none of them decided to follow me.